What's up, everybody? Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. So the other night I was performing and this happened. So I'm going to show you what happened. And then when we come back, I'm going to tell you why I handled it the way I handled it and how I recovered. But they were both very nice to me. They bought me a couple drinks. We sat and talked for a while. And that happens for me all the time. If I'm performing in a redneck club and they want to have a couple drinks with me after the show, I'll have a couple drinks with them at the venue. That's right, we're not moving to a second location. And not just because that's where they'll kill you. I would not plan this to ruin my own show. Done? I would keep going, but the mic is off. I can't talk over it. If I could, I would, but it's not. That was more than a little annoying. All right, folks. So what you just saw, I was performing at Wiseguys Comedy Club. It's Saturday night, and this Saturday night audience was hot. They were just a fun audience, down for it, right? Before we go any further, please like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to get to 10,000 followers. We're better than halfway there. So please like, comment, and subscribe. If you don't know what to comment, just put a Mexican flag. I'm Mexican. Let's be insulting and racist. Put a Mexican flag. So anyway, I'm on stage and it's going really well. This audience is so great and I'm having such a good time. And then all of a sudden, the fire alarm goes off. I've been in situations where I had to perform through a fire alarm, but it was just like the fire alarm that was going on because there had been a fire across the mall. This was back at the old LA Comedy Club in the Strat. When it was on the second floor, there was an arcade diagonally across the walkway from it. And one night something caught on fire in there. It was contained, so they weren't worried about it. So they just had us keep performing even though they couldn't get the fire alarm to turn off. But I've never never had it happen during my set. And let me tell you, that was like the longest 3 minutes of my life because so much went through my brain as far as how to handle it. I'm not a panicky person. I'm very lucky for that. So it wasn't in my instinct to run or flee the scene. Like it wasn't like a fight or flight moment for me. But as far as being a comedian, just because I'm a dumbass, I actually thought about taking off running like as a joke and then running back to the stage. My immediate thought right after that was, if you do that, there's a chance that these people are going to run with you because they're going to think if you're panicking, then they should panic and they're not going to know you're joking at first. And what if you end up with the mini Astro World situation and people get stampeded? And it wasn't that many people. It's like 50 people, but 50 people trying to bottleneck out of the same exit, and the way that exit is set up, it definitely could have created a situation. So that was just a quick momentary, and then it hit me, not a good idea. So then you'll notice I look at my recorder because I had the Zoom recorder up there to catch the sound. And when I looked at it, I was looking at it to see how much time I had left. And I think I was at 27 minutes when that had happened. A headlining set is supposed to be 45. So if we were at like 40 minutes, then I would have been like, yeah, the show's probably over and we should just be done. But since we were right about halfway through, I didn't know what I should do in that situation. There was a part of me that felt like show's over, but there was also a part of me that saw everybody just sitting there in their seats. And I felt like, well, if they're down for me to finish the show after we figure this situation out, I'm down to give them the show that they came out for. Because that's one thing I want to talk to you guys about right now, just as far as being a comedian. And sometimes people make fun of me because I will actually use the words, this is show business. But that's really the way I feel about it. Just as a professional, as a comedian, this is show business and the show must go on. Just because something like that happens, yeah, it's a little annoying and yeah, it took me out of that joke. But at the same time, the people that have paid for babysitters to be at the show, and there were people that had paid for tickets. There were some people that had gotten there in comps. There's different people at different situations, but all of these people have obviously made some kind of special accommodations in their life to be able to make that show. Whether it's hiring a babysitter,
don't mess with the babysitter,
or moving their dinner plans, or rescheduling with friends for something else, or there's a million things you could be doing. And so I feel like if you make it out to the comedy show, it is my responsibility as a comedian, as a professional, to give you the show that you paid for, to give you the experience that you came out for, so that you don't feel cheated. Because comedy, even if you were to get free tickets, is an expensive night. What drinks usually cost at a comedy club, usually there's dealing with downtown parking, which a lot of times comes at a cost on its own. If it was a cold night, these people have gone through a lot, in my opinion, to be at my show. So if halfway through something like this happens, I feel like it's my responsibility to figure that out and still keep going. Then also when it comes to the servers, I've been friends with so many of the servers at the different clubs that I've worked at that I know that when something like that happens, sometimes people will use that as excuses to just get out of their checks. There are the people that'll see that opportunity. And then there's also the people that will just start hassling the servers, even though obviously there's a huge situation going on that nobody's used to. Because while there wasn't actually a fire happening, you're dealing with something where everybody's kind of in a panic. The floodlights had gone on and now we're hearing that sound and the mic isn't working. Would you see me at a point check the mic with my hand? Because that was when I realized that everything was 100% fine. Because there definitely was a point when I was just mouthing, "Are we done?" And then I said audibly, "Are we done?" at a point. And it was because I didn't know how the club wanted me to handle that in that particular moment. But I also felt like if there was actually a fire, somebody from the club would have ran out and made an announcement like, so I knew that on some level they wanted me to keep things calm from the stage. I knew that I could do them that favor. And like I was saying, when it comes to the servers, if I did just walk off stage, people are going to think the show is over or know the show is over at that point, because really there's no point in getting back on stage once I get off, if you ask me. Then people are going to start hitting the servers up and being like, "I want to pay my check now. I want to get out of here now." And whatever's going on with the fire alarm situation, these people want to get back to their night since now I have ended the show. So there's also the part of me that's looking out for the staff and just like, yeah, I can't fuck these servers by having walkouts and then having other people bug them about their checks right then. So let me just stay up here like I'm supposed to. So then there's a point where the manager, Cassie, comes out and you hear her say, I'm on the phone with Asa. Asa was the manager there before. Now he's back at the Salt Lake City location for Wiseguys. And Asa is more familiar with the club because he opened the club. Cassie took the club over recently as manager when Asa went back to Salt Lake City. At least that's the way I think it all worked out. Don't quote me on that part. I'm not a part of the inner workings at Wiseguys, but I do know Wiseguys pretty well, and I know it's all cool or whatever. So she was on the phone with Asa, so Asa could tell her, because obviously things like this have happened before, because this is Las Vegas, and what had happened was somebody tried to smoke a cigarette in there, which I know that's happened another time, because for some reason people think that there are no rules in Las Vegas, and people will do shit like that. It's a non-smoking building, and people will try to smoke cigarettes in the bathroom at Wiseguys occasionally. And then this shit happens, and now we're all sitting here having to deal with it. So Cassie was dealing with Asa, and once she said that, in my head, I was like, now it is just been decided that one way or another, I'm going to finish this show out. So I tapped the mic a couple of times to see if it's working. I mentioned to the audience I would keep going, but the mic is off, so that they know there is the plan for me to keep going. And then that's when, after the longest, maybe 3 minutes of my life, because it really was a long 3 minutes standing up there. And I was thinking about all the superficial things, like this lighting is harsh, which I end up addressing in just a second, because I'm going to show you guys the recovery on it as well, just because I think that's important from a comedian standpoint, or people that really love comedy or want to see how you would recover from that kind of thing. You'll see the way that I deal with that right now. That was more than a little annoying. And I didn't care for that harsh lighting we had going for That's not flattering. It's not going to look good on the video. That's much better. More muted. Thank you. We're getting back where we need to be now. Sorry, guys.
I will never forget this show.
Neither will I. And not in a fucking good way either.
Ty, I love you. I would fucking fire for you, man.
I could tell by the way you fucking rescued my ass as soon as that alarm went off. I could tell by the way you carried me out of here. You, sir, are a liar. And I knew it couldn't have been an actual fire. They don't do shit but microwave everything here anyway. I'm not gonna start a fire with a fucking microwave. I mean, not one that goes outside of the microwave. You know? That was a fucking mess. Your friends left already. They couldn't take it. They got scared. Oh, they went to the bathroom? All right. That's a smart thing to do. You're like, yeah, let's go to the bathroom until this all settles. It's not a bad play, guys. We lost a few. Not like that, you know, it wasn't a real fire. They just saw an opportunity to get out without paying their checks, you know. And a big section over there was like, well, what could we do? I guess we just got free drinks, you guys. I don't blame them, though. I don't get paid off the alcohol sales. Hope the servers didn't get fucked. Not like that. You guys are fucking dirty. Give it up for your servers, you guys. You know, they have tough jobs and then they have a false alarm. Try to make it seem like it was deeper than it was. Tough jobs, and then you have a false alarm happen and get happy because you think it might finally be over. Well, that's why I just stood here, you know what I mean? I was like, let it go up. Text a friend and be like, take care of my dog. Where are you? I'm dead. So I was talking about performing in redneck clubs. So obviously I acknowledge the elephant in the room. That was more than a little annoying. And then I play with the thing about the harsh lights. And, you know, I just really wanted to bring it back to a fun space and a zero space. And I figured I'd work on whatever the next joke was going to be next. Like that was basically what my plan was in my head. And I didn't know if I was going to go back into my material. I didn't know if I was going to go into something different. If you'll notice, I picked up where I had left off before, and I did feel good about that situation when everything got back, because there was a tendency for me to want to just keep playing and keep being loose and in the moment. But there was a part of me as a comic that felt like the best thing to do in this situation, now that I've addressed it and had a little in the moment fun, is now to go back to structure, because you're dealing with chaos, which that was chaos, you know, for those few moments. Shout out to the audience for sticking around and for not turning into animals and running for the exit. I really do appreciate them for that. And I also really appreciate them for still being willing to get back into the show, because we lost a minimal amount of people. A few people in the one section that I addressed did get up. It wasn't a lot. I said a bunch because I was being silly, and of course comedy sometimes comes from exaggerating the situation, but pretty much like everybody stayed. So I'm in my head like, okay, well, if they're willing to stay and they want me to get us back to a show, then that's what I need to do for this audience to make sure that, like I said, I give them their money's worth. I do what it is they came out to see me do. There were people that were excited about seeing me. That's one thing that felt really good this weekend, is even though I thought it was going to be a lot of the comp tickets and stuff like that, there were a fair amount of people that came out specifically to see me. And then some of the other comedians that I see all the time that haven't gotten to see me actually headline because they just know me from being out and around, they showed up. Shout out to those comedians, especially because every one of those comedians, with the exception of two, which that was a fun situation too, but every one of the comedians behaved like adults and really were good audience members. I might use the two that I talk about for a clip or whatever, but I loved them and I was appreciative to them, and they were not disruptive in a disrespectful way. It had been a lot, and I'm sure they had a lot to talk about just as far as me handling it, and I think that's part of what they were talking about, because I really did recover, you guys. I tell you, it's all about delivering in this business, and I am delivering. I do deliver. The fact that I knew to keep everybody calm, not make the situation any worse than it had to be. Also, I knew that the servers, I needed to take care of them. Also, just when it comes to me and wanting to have the audience know that I am the comic that they want to come see. I am not going to let them down. I am going to do what's best for the show all the way around when it comes to safety. Because like I said, obviously, if there was something really going on, they would have just cleared us out and told us to head towards the exit. Since I didn't get that directive, in my head, I'm like, what I have to do is keep these people entertained, keep them calm. And I admit, there's ways now that I think about that I could have been more fun in the moment. But again, you're dealing with something that you haven't dealt with before, and that's what this is about. But there's a chance it may happen in my career again. So the way I work as a comedian is I will think about the different ways that I can handle that if that ever happens again in the future. And chances are, I've already been doing it for 20 years, so I think it's pretty safe to say I'm going to be doing it for the rest of my life. And I'm definitely going to end up in some situation like that again, and now I'll be even more present and I'll be even less freaked out by it, because like I said, I don't get panicky, so it wasn't like I was at any point truly freaked out, but there was a part of me in my head that was really in my head, and while I'm up there looking like I'm doing nothing and being silly or whatever, I am at the same time thinking, how do I recover from this? There were also the people that were asking if I had done that on purpose or if that was part of the act. No, it's definitely not part of the act. That is not part of my plan. That is not the kind of stunt I would pull. So when it comes down to it, there was so much for me to think about in that moment. And I am thankful for the fact that even though this happened and it wasn't ideal for the situation, I was very pleased with myself in the way that I dealt with it. But like I said, moving forward, it gives me the opportunity to think of, how would I handle that next time? How would I make it even more entertaining? How would would I keep them engaged throughout that, maybe even without the mic working, which is hard because I can only project so much. And especially, I think you could tell on that video how loud that was, but in the room, it was super loud. And I'm on stage, so it's all coming at me. And so me trying to project out and over that volume wasn't going to be something that I was going to be that great at. If I had to do it, let's be honest, if I have to do anything, I'm going to do it. And that's all you need to know about me as a comedian. Come out to a show sometime. This has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.